And Dave, I'm wondering from from more of a brand's perspective, I think people always say, well, you have to reinvent yourself, you have to offer something new to keep people engaged. And I'm wondering, what are you doing at The Find? Is it making new product? Is it rebranding yourself to keep your audience engaged and to grow your audience?
So I think that success builds on itself and influence builds on itself. So the more influence that you guys have, I'll answer the question for you all first, the more, it's going to grow. So somewhat to answer the previous question, once you have an audience, you can't be content with that, or you shouldn't be, because you need to continue to grow, really. That's how you stay relevant, is continuing to grow. And that could be getting more people to your blog. But I really look at it as extending that influence out into other areas. Through guest posting, I think is a fantastic one. We run a guest posting program on our blog. Going into Twitter, Facebook, any other platform that you can come up with, things like Polyboard, Chictopia, even on The Find, we're launching some personalization features that you guys can get involved with. I think that's really how you stay relevant. In terms of branding and keeping people engaged, again, if you're very relevant and you're very influential, people are going to engage with you regardless of what you do. I really believe that. Look at celebrities. It's not like they usually have a whole lot to say, but people are very engaged and hanging on their every word or their every fashion whim and whatever else. So I really think that's the way to go about it. For a brand like The Find, it's not we're not a celebrity. We're not the sexiest brand in the world, right? I think it's offering something useful. First of all, it's kind of the content is king mentality. It has to be a useful product or a useful blog or whatever it is the first thing. And second of all, really understanding what your audience is looking for and molding your product towards that. I know that sounds very obvious, but it can be more difficult than for us. So when we started The Find, 3.5 years ago, obviously we had no users, no nothing. We just launched the site. And we've been able to grow to we have over 25 million people coming to the site every month. So it's really grown exponentially, and keeping those people engaged is somewhat of a challenge that I deal with every day. One of the things we've done to do that is trying to create more of a community through our blog. I started a blog program probably 2.5 years ago. I built the blog myself, started writing it, don't tell anyone that I wrote it at first. And now I have lots of bloggers that blog for us, and we do guest posting throughout the blogosphere. And again, we try to extend that influence away from just The Find, and not trying to just hold on to it, but letting go of it a little bit, letting other people talk about us, and talking about ourselves and other platforms has been hugely successful for us.
Robin, I know Kmart just recently launched StyleSip, and you spoke about how people have in their mind what the Kmart brand is, and it's sort of, you have that audience and growing to the next audience. So I'm curious to see and hear how else Kmart is sort of trying to engage new audience and keep the ones that they have.
So I think for us, it's really about differentiating our core Kmart customer today and then the future of the brand. So really engaging a new customer to Kmart. So really our customer segmentation, so StyleSip is targeted to a teen audience. As we expand our brand portfolio, really broadening it to a much more contemporary, younger customer. I think it's critical to really speak to each customer differently. And again, I'll use my favorite word, authentic. And it's really important to have an authentic voice. And you need to be true to the brand, Kmart, but also to the specific customer segment.
You spoke a little bit about having an authentic voice, and I think the great thing about social media is that it's sort of this community where we all talk to each other, and we like to think they're honest opinions. So I'm wondering for you, from a marketing perspective, what is the value you see in being part of online communities, whether they're on your own Facebook or Twitter, or if you have a profile on Chictopia, versus just buying ads?
So I think it's all about feedback, and feedback is good and bad. I mean, we just had a not terribly positive article written earlier this week, and I think that's what it's all about. So I think where companies sometimes make a mistake on their Facebook pages, if they're negative comments and they delete them. I mean, but it's really all about getting feedback, and that helps you grow and improve your brand and your product offering. So it's all about feedback for us.
And Dave, you said you were building sort of a place where people can share their own opinions. And what are your thoughts about having a presence in a community versus advertising using both?
Sure. From a marketing standpoint, just as what was just said, the Holy Grail is to be part of the conversation and have people talking for you. I don't like to be out there talking about the company that much. I want everyone else to do it, and if you build a good product and do the right things, that should happen. That being said, there is a place for advertising, I think, especially when you're getting off the ground and people don't really understand who you are and what you do. They don't understand what your brand is. It's very useful to put some advertising out there and help people along. You need to let them know what you're trying to say. And again, if you have a good product and you come and you do your marketing correctly, it should snowball from there. So I'm not against advertising, but it's a means to an end. And the end should be being part of a conversation and having people say things favorably about you, or say things at all, really, is what you want to accomplish.
And EJ and Liz, this is sort of both from your perspective as editors and bloggers, and from a journalism perspective. You obviously have both ads and content on your site, sometimes paid content, sometimes planted content. And the question is, do you see a difference in response, or do you find both to be effective as far as people engaging with the brand that you're talking about?
Well, I think the goal would be that you would be able to tell the difference between paid content and non-content. For us, we're a brand just like any other blogger is a brand too, and we want to get visibility as well. And despite all of the paid ways that we can go about increasing our traffic, the funny thing is, when I look at our traffic reports at the end of the month, our top referrers are Facebook and Twitter, and these are all things that I started for free on my break. So there is that fine balance between paid content and also just what's out there at your disposal, at my disposal, at your disposal to increase your visibility online.
I have sponsors on my blog, and hopefully that translate into whatever they're looking for. However, I think it's not enough for brands to just advertise. You have to make a personal connection with your customer, and that doesn't translate through a banner. So being a part of social media and being a part of communities is really important. You really want to connect with the customer. You want to make a connection. You want to be like that friend, and that's important. And social media comes into that, and I think brands can't just solely advertise. I think you have to have a combination of both.
And as a blogger, have you ever thought of making your own ads, buying ads, or have you found just having a blog and a Facebook fan page and a Chictopia profile to be sufficient?
Honestly, I've been really kind of slow on the uptake with that. I would probably never buy advertisement for my blog. I just recently started a Facebook fan page, and honestly, I felt really weird making a fan page for myself. I was like, how egotistical am I? And then when I write that on my blog, I'm like, be my fan, and I just feel really awkward. Although it is a really great source of traffic, and so is Twitter. But I think as a blogger, if you push too hard, people will assume that you want something else and that you're not doing it for yourself. And I do it for myself, and so I don't really see the need to advertise or over promote myself. I think it's just more natural, and I like being a part of communities because then it's